Welcome back everybody, my name is Tucker, this is Sporting Logically, and today is the first ever Trade Machine Tuesday. This is something that I plan on doing every single week, where I break down a few players that are subject to trade rumors and use the ESPN trade machine to find a suitable trade for them. This is meant to be a very discussion-based series, so I want you guys to give me and others your opinions on the trades each week. Who says no, which team gets the better end of the deal, why it does or doesn't make sense, things like that. Also, I plan on featuring trades that are proposed in the comment section each week as well, so if you have any ideas for any players or teams for future episodes, I'll be sure to take a look. You can mention either a team or player that you would like to see make a trade / be traded, or you can suggest a trade in general that you would like others to discuss. I'm really excited to get this started, so let's get going. First up is Blazers guard CJ McCollum, one half of a backcourt duo whose days in Portland might be numbered based off their performances in the playoffs this year. The trade is McCollum to the Indiana Pacers for Miles Turner and the expiring contracts of Darren Collison and Al Jefferson. Let's start with the Pacers' point of view. Although they had a surprisingly impressive first season in the post-Paul George era, it is clear that for the team to reach even greater heights, they need more of an offensive punch on the perimeter outside of Victor Oladipo. Enter McCollum, a lethal three-point shooter and playmaker that will put less of an offensive burden on Oladipo and give the team at least one premier offensive weapon on the floor at all times. There were times in the regular and postseason where Indiana's offense cratered without their all-star guard on the floor, but that wouldn't be the case anymore with McCollum. In addition, Oladipo is a much better candidate to cover up his defensive issues than his current backcourt partner Damian Lillard. Turner is an intriguing young big man, but he hasn't progressed as much as the team would have hoped so far, and is a bit of an awkward fit alongside Domantas Sabonis. This trade allows the team to capitalize on the potential of Turner's game while his stock is still high, essentially turning the up-and-coming big man plus the contracts of Collison and Jefferson into a borderline all-star level guard in McCollum. From the Blazers' point of view, this likely isn't an equal trade in terms of on-court performance. McCollum would be a huge piece to lose, but it's pretty clear that their current backcourt isn't built for postseason success. They get back a potential diamond-in-the-rough big man in Turner, who is much more athletic and a better rim protector than Jusuf Nurkic, a weakness that was exposed in their first-round sweep at the hands of the Pelicans. Both Turner and rookie big man Zach Collins have shown an ability at times to hit perimeter jump shots, opening up the possibility for them to be on the floor at the same time in Portland. In terms of the contracts, having Turner on the roster means the team wouldn't have to overpay either Nurkic or Ed Davis in free agency if they get a big offer, while also keeping them under the luxury tax line for now, while the Collison and Jefferson contracts give them much needed financial flexibility moving forward once they expire in 2019. If they chose, they could probably push the Pacers to throw in a draft pick just to try and equal things out a bit more. Next up, we have a bit of an unconventional one, John Wall. This is a case of a player that I don't think it's necessarily very likely that they'll get traded, but it is something that has been brought up on occasion, and it would still be fun to take a look at. The trade is Wall to the Phoenix Suns for TJ Warren, either Dragan Bender or Marcus Chris, whoever the Wizards prefer, and the Heat's 2018 and 2021 first-round picks via the Suns. Let's begin with why this makes sense for Phoenix. They were reportedly strong contenders for Kyrie Irving last summer before he was sent to Boston, so it stands to reason that they would be interested in another high-level point guard in Wall. The team has been in a rebuild for a while now, and could be looking to consolidate some of their young assets into a star player to develop their team around, without giving up any of their own draft picks in case it takes some time to turn into a winning team. They would have one of the better backcourt pairings in the league, giving them a lineup of Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, either Chris or Bender, and Alex Len if they can re-sign him, in addition to whoever they take with their first-round pick, which currently has the best odds of any team of becoming the first pick in the draft lottery. Wall's salary does balloon in 2019 when his Supermax contract kicks in, but the Suns will have over $20 million in contracts coming off the books that summer in Tyson Chandler and Jared Dudley to try and offset that. For the Wizards, this is really just about trying something different. The Wall-Beal era hasn't been as successful as the team would expect, and they may convince themselves it's time for a change. Dealing Wall before his Supermax deal kicks in 2019 is the best time to change things for now and try something new. Warren is a good scorer on a reasonable contract signed for the long term, and either Bender or Chris could turn into a very good young player with the proper development. The extra first-round picks give them some future flexibility and the opportunity to infuse some young talent to the team that they desperately need. Although this deal might not be equal in terms of on-court talent, a change in chemistry could be just the thing the Wizards need to breathe some new life into their team. If it doesn't work, they can blow it up in a year or two by trading Beal and/or Otto Porter, letting the salaries of Marcin Gortat and Ian Mahinmi come off the books, and using those extra Heat draft picks along with that salary cap flexibility to try and rebuild. Lastly, we have one of the most common potential trade targets of the last few weeks, Hassan Whiteside. Because of just how bad he looked in the first round against the Sixers and how big his contract is, this one was really tough to find a logical trade partner for. But here goes nothing. The trade is Whiteside to the Milwaukee Bucks for John Henson and Matthew Dellavedova. For the Bucks, they're simply gambling that Whiteside's struggles were a result of a lack of confidence coming off a season in which he had some struggles with injuries. It is a big risk because if he continues to play the way he did in the postseason, they will have one of the worst contracts in the NBA on their hands. But for a team like Milwaukee, there aren't a lot of avenues to improvement without much salary cap space or trade assets, so they need to take big swings like this to improve their chances of keeping the Greek Freak happy. Giving up Henson and Dellavedova could hinder their depth, but they have each struggled with injuries of their own, so giving them up to get back a player that has shown borderline all-star potential in flashes is worth the gamble. For Miami, this might not seem like a great option, but there really aren't a lot of teams around the league that would be interested in Whiteside with his current contract. Honestly, I challenge each of you guys to fire up the trade machine and find a team that it would make sense for them to take on the big man. There are some teams with cap space that might be willing to take the cap hit, but it seems more likely that they would rather save that space for other moves. This trade doesn't help the Heat a ton in terms of salary, but it does save about $2.5 million off the payroll. Unfortunately for them, Henson and Dellavedova's contracts run just as long as Whiteside's does, so they won't be getting rid of any more money any sooner. But the big man seems to have run out of time in South Beach, and getting back a usable center and occasional shot maker and defender when healthy isn't a bad haul. This gives them the flexibility to continue to use Kelly Olynyk and Bam Adebayo at the 5 spot as they did in the playoffs, or use Henson in that center rotation as well. If they truly do want to get rid of Whiteside that badly, I don't see a lot of realistic options that are much better than this. And that brings to a close the first ever Trade Machine Tuesday. Remember to give me your feedback in the comments section and to suggest future players, teams, and trades that you want featured in next week's episode. Obviously, there are plenty of big fish that weren't tackled in this episode, like Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook, so stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.